Dooku is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and often he's misunderstood. I was rewatching Tales of the Jedi the other day, and I realized something about Dooku. Many Jedi regarded him as one of the finest lightsaber duelists of his time, who was considered to be Mace Windu's equal, as well as even rivaling Grandmaster Yoda. Darth Sidious, who mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, was advised by his master, Darth Plagueis, that crossing paths with Dooku would be his undoing. Dooku specialized in lightsaber form 2, Makashi, a lightsaber form focused specifically for lightsaber to lightsaber combat. He became so proficient at lightsaber dueling that Qui-Gon Jinn's spirit spoke to Yoda about Dooku, stating, "He is a fencer. Leverage, position, advantage. They are as natural to him as breathing." Let's rewind that back. As natural to him as breathing. That's how unbelievably skilled he was at lightsaber dueling. Now this is where I want to address my theory on his combat prowess. When we take a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi by the time of Revenge of the Sith, he's regarded amongst many Jedi, including Mace Windu, who acknowledges him as the master of Surisu, the all-defensive lightsaber form. Not a master of the form, but the master of defense. I took this perspective when shifting back to Dooku, and while Makashi might be as natural to him as breathing, one could argue that he isn't the master of Form 2. We need to remember that Dooku was a Jedi around a time where Sith were thought to be extinct. So for starters, we can note that the only lightsaber dueling experience he could gain at the time would be against his fellow Jedi comrades in sparring matches. Looking deeper towards the lightsaber form itself, by the time of the prequels, Makashi essentially died out when being applied to actual situations, since many of the missions Jedi went on only encountered blaster-wielding opponents. Going 1,000 years prior before the Rule of Two was established, Jedi were engaging with Sith on a regular basis where Makashi would shine the best. At the time, the lightsaber form was in its prime since it was constantly being utilized by battle-hardened Jedi and Sith alike. After the Sith went into hiding under Darth Bane's rule and they were thought to have all been killed off, Makashi almost went extinct and it would fade into ancient history, only to be studied by pure duelists and historians who stuck close to tradition. My thought process is that due to its limited practice over the following 1,000 years, Makashi would rarely be used and thus, certain moves and aspects of the form would be lost to time. Therefore, by the time of Dooku's era, Makashi may not have been the same form it once was back during the Old Republic. This is just my personal theory and I could definitely be wrong. Makashi wasn't a popular form during the age where Sith were thought to be quote-unquote extinct, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any of its practices were diminished. I'm just speculating at a possibility that Makashi may not be at its true potential by the time of the prequels. But nonetheless, Dooku was undoubtedly flawless and elegant with the form, honing his craft to utmost perfection. But what do you guys think? If my theory were to be true and there was an even more potent version of Makashi during the Old Republic, do you think there were users of the form that were even deadlier than Dooku? Let me know down in the comments, and I really enjoyed making this video. One of the main things that I'm obsessed with in Star Wars is lightsaber combat, and this idea really occurred to me while I was rewatching some fight scenes of Dooku. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.